Namaste everyone and welcome back once again. In this video, I'm going to discuss Indian economy under the British rule. So the video is in English language, and if you feel like you still need the same video in Hindi, so for that you can always write back in the comments. Alright, but I would try to make it as easy as possible to understand even for native Hindi speakers. Okay, so first, I just want to categorize. So when we talk about Indian economy under the British rule, we are talking about really bad times of India. So economy was not doing really great. There were so many problems, okay, so many problems, and most of the problems were imposed by the British only. So to start with, I would just give you five areas which we will discuss, and these five areas are the five segments where we were hit the most. So first of all, agriculture. So Indian agriculture was dealt really bad. Second is deindustrialization. So industry was not benefited, but what happened? Our industries were destroyed. And the third is trade policies, and then we'll talk about the infrastructure, all right, and the fifth one is social and economic policies. All right, now don't worry about all these, some of the words. If you don't know, I will discuss and I will let you know each one separately. Okay, so let's now discuss about what happened with the agriculture. So under the British rule, agriculture was really not doing well because of certain things that British imposed on us. One was the land revenue system. So there were mainly two land revenue systems what we used those days. So the one is zamindari system and then Rayatwari system. So two systems were imposed. In zamindari system, so the British government elected zamindars, and zamindars were the one who used to collect the tax. So zamindar, in vague term, you can say the owner of the land, and they used to employ the farmers. And then when the farmer grow the crops and when the harvest comes, so they used to collect taxes and then they used to pass it to the British government. But in between, they took a lion's share of the margin. So actually, that was not really good for the grassroots farmers. Okay, so all this zamindari system was introduced by Lord Cornwall. Okay, and it was introduced in 1793. As I told you, in this system, the government established the intermediaries between the farmers and the government, and those were called zamindars. And then the another introduction was the Rayatwari system. In the Rayatwari system, what happened, which happened later, it was actually done by Sir Thomas Munro. So it was introduced in 1820. All right. In this system, in Rayatwari system, so government actually got involved directly. So earlier there were intermediaries, the middle person, but in Rayatwari system, government just jumped in directly, and they directly started collecting tax from the farmers. And handlooms, cloth manufacturing industry was booming in India those days. So actually, British, with their power of machine-made goods and forcing us or putting those kind of policies on board to, just suppress the local manufacturing units, they just destroyed our industry. And also, they did not invest at all in our industry in India those days. So whatever money they collected from tax, they actually invested it back in the Britain or in the United Kingdom, so that they wanted to industrialize UK or England, and they just wanted to deindustrialize whatever colonies they had. So they just saw us as markets, nothing else. And in this market, they just tried to buy cheap the raw material. So all the raw material like cotton and indigo, they bought very cheap. And once they manufactured it in England, after that the finished goods were sold back in India and to the Indians on very high price. So bought cheap and sold expensive. And they made huge profit in doing that. So it was two-way draining our wealth. They were buying cheap and selling expensive. Third thing is infrastructure development. Let's talk about that. The only thing some of the historians and people talk about the British, that they really helped us with the railway, but the motive was not really good. Developing railway in India by British was only for their benefit. They just wanted to extract all the good quality raw material from far-flung places in India, and they wanted to export it to England. So the rail network was their propaganda in a way that showing that they were developing infrastructure in India, but these were just like the veins to suck blood from every part of India. All right. So what it says here, that while the British did build an expensive railway network, it primarily served their strategic and commercial interests. It facilitated the movement of troops and the export of raw material rather than fostering internal economic integration. All right. Okay, now lack of modern infrastructure. Yes, they didn't work on roads or ports or telecommunication. What they were very interested when it comes to the land they lived in, that is England. There they were investing a lot in telecommunication, ports and roads, but not in India, just to make India or keep India poor and a mere market for their finished goods. Now let's talk about the education and social services. Almost zero. Whatever kind of education they wanted to provide those days, so their motive was just raise those kind of English educated Indians who should serve for the British. Okay, so but they it stopped technical education. Okay, and also they stopped widespread literacy. So they focused on a very small group of people who they thought of they were fit to serve their interest. So some of the Indians were given English education, just that who can be accommodated in the British government to exploit rest of the population. They did not worked on the healthcare system. So poor healthcare services, poor hospitals we had those days. And finally, the economic policies, huge taxation and lack of investment. So they used to tax us huge, and whatever money they collected from that, this money was never invested back in India. So no investment on nothing, no technology, industry or education. Everything, whatever they got, they just took it to their country, Britain. And just to give you an idea, so for example, if they were making a profit of 100 rupees, for example, they did not spend even rupee 1 in India. So the investment in India was even less than 1. So that was the ratio, that kind of exploitation we went through. All right. So this was only for the information. You understand, you apply. And if you have any question, please write back. So with this video, I also want to say that we don't have to hate the British, because this is just the history, what we have faced. So now we don't have to hate them, but we have to be careful that we should not fall in the same trap in future. Thank you for watching.